Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Just trying to get a post into nostr here. I almost had everything today. Almost. This close. Anyways, it is Friday. This is the 88 Sats radio channel. This is the Daily Bitcoin Journey. And this is the show that focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. What the heck's going on? It's October 4th and I'm still in the same crappy house. What the hell? I was promised Uptober by everybody. I still feel it's coming soon. That's why I wore my orange shirt today for some good juju. Hello out there. We're on the air and welcome to the show. Come join us on nostr. What should I say? What should I say? Okay. We need to focus here. It is No Agenda Friday, which means there's only a blank piece of paper here in front of me. Actually, it's not, but it's from September 27th. So there's no agenda today. If you do have anything that you want to discuss, anything you want to talk about, throw it in the chat. And we'll see what we can come up with today. I see a Noah's over on the Zap.stream. Good morning, Noah. Early one today. Early one for Noah today. And if you haven't noticed yet, I have our good pal Joey's comment up here as the winner today for the 88 Sats. And Joey says, money is your time and energy in extracted form. I've heard that somewhere before. I think it was Jack Mahler's. I think that's his, maybe not though. Maybe Joey came up with that. Do you want to hold your time and energy into the future? Buy Bitcoin. There was what was it? Let me find it here. Pour some coffee, add some Baileys, and join us. There was what was it? Oh, it was the ZBD. By the way, if you're not on ZBD yet, you got to get on there. Even if you do nothing else, if you don't do any of the surveys, you just go on there once a day, you fill out a quick poll that they ask. It's not, you don't even have to get the question right or give a proper answer. You just answer the poll and you get between like 10 to 100 sats every day. So absolute no brainer. I don't think it's limited to countries too, like ShakePay and Foldar. I think anybody has access to ZBD. So make sure if you're not doing that yet, today would be a great day to sign up for an account over on ZBD. Okay, what do we got on Zapstream? We got 8 people over there so far. That's a good start. And Noah has zapped 1,000 sats for Friday. Thank you, Noah. That's a good start. That's a great way to start the show. All right, who else we got in here? We got Timber Crasher, one of our Bitcoin journeymen. We got Jay. Happy Friday. Says pretty sure everyone here already knows that. Talking about Joey's comment. Do we? I don't know. We can't speak for everybody. Letha, good morning. And Jay is laughing. All right, we got Cold Deck. We got Ahsoka. And Noah says, I have a topic to discuss. Traveling safely with Bitcoin. Getting ready to do some traveling here. International. That's a question. I guess it also depends on where your home base is and how many people you trust back home or whoever you pay property taxes to or rent. Well, there's Arnie. He thought about stopping in. But I mean, speaking personally myself, I'd never travel with my Bitcoin. But it also depends, again, what your home base is like, where you're going to. Honestly, I'd be very careful crossing borders with any sort of. I even try to clear out my Bitcoin from my wallet on my phone. It's just not worth the risk to me. So, again, I would. I mean, the thing about that is though, you could sneak a cold card pretty easily. I think into a laptop case or something. It just looks like a little calculator. So there's been a couple people talking about this in the last couple of weeks on the show, actually. And one of the suggestions was the border wallet from Sparrow. And the other one, which I've never used, so I can't really give a yes or no on that one. But the other one is our service coming in the next, I would say we're close. I'm actually meeting with Craig on Tuesday, so in a couple of days. And I think we're going to finalize some things with that. So that's something where you keep a key yourself. You have a key in another place, in another country, and you have QR codes, and it's like shards almost. You have to have each QR code to unlock to get the Bitcoin to be able to send it out of the wallet. So something to consider there, I think, whether you're traveling or whether you just want an extra couple layers of security. So, and there's Joey's NPub. Let me find you right now and give you a little zap. Sats Venture. Let's search them. Sats Venture. 20-year-old from Australia, stacking sats and enjoying the Bitcoin journey. That's a great bio. Let's zap them to Strike. You got Strike in Australia? You buggers. We don't even have Strike here in Canada. There she is. Sent. Oh, you guys saw my balance too. Doxed myself. All 7,000 sats I have here. I'm rich. Jason, good morning. Sats Venture is here. Both channels. Like that. I like that a lot. Where's Rick for our daily reminder here? Rick, you out there? All right, well, let's check on the mempool. Again, this is no agenda Friday, so if you do have anything to discuss today, I don't know how long the show is going to be today. We're just going to play it by ear. I do have a plan, though, for second part of the show, even though the other channel is banned right now or on a 7-day timeout from YouTube. We're going to defy orders once again, and we're going to go past them. We're going to go to Zapstream, and we're going to watch part 1 of 8. It's my plan. But we'll see if this, holy. You okay? Arnie's here. Arnie's in the house today. It's Friday. Of course he's going to be here. Can't let the people down. If you want to send Arnie some sats, right there. I'll get my arm out of the way, though. We don't want to see that. Send it to the QR code. And everybody who has been sending Arnie Bitcoin, thank you. Some come in larger amounts, some come in small amounts. But at the end of the day, it all adds up. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about quickly. ZBD. So they did their poll yesterday was, hold on, let me find it here. The question of the day yesterday from them was, what's the best way to travel through time? And the options were a phone booth, a giant slingshot, convertible with flux something. I'm guessing that's like a reference to something. Or riding a dinosaur. But anyways, I chose phone booth. I don't know why. But I earned 55 sats for that. So I said that's an ironic question from ZBD. They just paid me 55 sats to answer the poll. And in 10 years from now, people will be working a full day or more for 55 sats. That's the best way to time travel. So again, if you're not on ZBD, get yourself on there. You get a daily amount of sats. Small, but consistently, it adds up over time. All right, what we got here? We got 864,124, 864,124 blocks have been mined since the Genesis block way back, January 3rd, 2009. That one was mined by Foundry. Seems like Foundry and via BTC have just been cleaning up. And Pool, Brains Pool, Luxor, Foundry, holy. BTC.com, SBI Crypto, Spider Pool. I just hate that word now. I don't know why. But look at this. This is I think we just found a new block. Yeah. But look at this. We've been keeping our eye on this one because it had been going down. The previous difficulty adjustment was negative 4.6%, which means that there's a bunch of Bitcoin miners who turned off their machines, their ASICs, in the last difficulty adjustment. So we're ahead though now. We're 19 blocks ahead, which means that there are more and more miners plugging in their machines. So that's good news. I think that's the main metric to be using within Bitcoin, is how many people are plugging in, how many companies are plugging in. See you later, mempool. Catch you on the flip flop. What the heck is this? We got Spanish. E lucro na bifund experimente agora. I'm not going to click that. It's too many numbers and things in there. I feel like my computer might blow up if I click that link. Cold decks after 1,000 sats. Thank you. Thank you. Happy Friday, folks. And Noah says Tardies equals time traveling phone booth from Doctor Who. Yeah, I chose the phone booth. I think that's the only way to actually time travel. So Sats Venture said, I loved how fast you receive it. That's actually wild. So I'm in Canada. He's in Australia. I just sent him 88 sats instantly. Everybody saw it. I don't know. That stuff's really cool to me. Across the world in an instant without anybody in between. My bank didn't, I didn't have to check with my bank before sending that payment. Hey, there's Rick. There's Rick. All right. Let's see how we're doing on the likes. We had a good day yesterday on the like department for the live viewers. Anyways, the recorded guys and girls were a little bit slacking yesterday. So today's a good day to make up for it. Let's see how we're doing. Somehow this channel is still alive. 10. Not very good. Not very good. We can do better than that. Charlie says, I use the brain wallet when I travel. Is that like in your brain? Like memorizing your key? There, you know what? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, and not just traveling, but also just at your house. Like there's a lot of ways you can get creative with hiding your private key. You can get very sneaky with it, and you can get very complicated with it. But the one thing I would say about that, and I actually just met with somebody this week and we were talking about this, and we were coming up with different ideas, different solutions for the best way to store Bitcoin, and the private key mostly, which is the Bitcoin. But I said it doesn't really matter. We were coming up with a couple of crazy ways to store it in your house. But I said it doesn't really matter how you do it. I think there's hundreds, maybe thousands of different things you could do in your house to store your private key. But the main thing that you need to pay attention to is that you know what it is. It seems obvious. It seems very obvious. But I've seen firsthand some people who have lost their private keys just because they either got careless with it or they overcomplicated it. And that's why I think that, you know, if you're somebody who has your private key written down on paper, that's a great first step. Obviously, you never want to have it on anything digital. So if you have it on paper, I think that's a great first step. But paper can burn. Paper gets lost. Paper can be eaten by dogs. Or paper can be thrown out by your spouse who's cleaning up your office. So not only would I suggest putting it on steel as like the most obvious thing, or titanium, but make sure if you are just somebody who writes it on paper and that's kind of your current setup right now, make sure it's at least on like a piece of cardboard or something that nobody would just throw out thinking that it's trash. Can you imagine losing your Bitcoin because your spouse cleaned the office and threw out your private key? I mean, very low odds of that happening, but you might as well be secure with it. So just make sure that whatever process you use, however creative and fancy you get with your private key, make sure you know where it is. And the second part of that, the extension to that, is when you're actually going to need that private key, because on a normal day, you're going to be fine. You know, you're going to have your PIN code, you're going to have your setup, you're going to be able to think things through, you're thinking clearly. You don't really need to know where your private key is. But when the time comes, it's going to be when the time comes that you would actually need that, it's going to be a very stressful situation. That's the only time that you would need to go and grab that thing, right? So in a very stressful situation, you're not able to think properly. I mean, everybody's been there before. So you have to have that process down, packed. And I would strongly suggest like practicing it, do a couple run throughs from it. And the guy I was talking to was actually, I forget if he was in the military or what kind of training he had. Maybe he's a Fed. But either way, he said that it makes sense. You have to practice things. You have to rehearse. You have to be ready for when that moment comes. You're going to be prepared for it. So I think that that's a pretty good roadmap to follow, is just know what it is and know it like the back of your hand. Let's just say that. Brennan says, good morning, steady lads. Does that mean we're crashing? Hopefully not. I got my ring imprint on my arm. Oh, and I forgot to share this. It is Friday, which means we got our favorite mug out. That's good stuff. Sats Venture says, I use the Tangent wallet and a cold wallet for travel. Super cheeky. Looks like a plain black card, but I can use that wallet internationally, then transfer it to a local exchange if I need to sell it. I'm kind of with Brennan here, honestly. Unless you absolutely had to, and this is just my advice and what I would do. But unless I absolutely had to take it somewhere, unless I was like being forcefully removed or running from something, I don't think I would take my cold wallet through customs. And especially as this thing progresses and we move forward here, the border guards are going to be a lot more, they're going to be looking for that kind of stuff. They're going to be more trained on the subject. We're still in the phase now where you could walk through a border with a cold card and nobody would even know what it is. But that's not going to be the case forever, right? I think we would both agree on that. So, and you don't want to be the person where the border guard just did training last week on Bitcoin wallets. You don't want to be the first one through there, because we haven't really seen it yet. And I think if we did see it, there'd be a lot more discussion within the Bitcoin community. So you just don't want to be the first one through there. Oh, tardies, time and relative dimension in space. That's what Noah was talking about with the tardies. I thought she was insulting me. I mean, Charlie says I store my private key in my brain. Don't get me wrong. I think that that's a great initiative to take on. I do. I think that everybody who has a 12-word private key should make steps towards trying to memorize that. But that's going to be your worst case scenario, your absolute worst case. And the problem with that is if you solely rely on words in your head, it's a problem, especially if you want to pass it on to your family. Like if Charlie, no, I'm not even going to say that. If I was going to the store and semi-driver fell asleep and hit me head on, and those words were in my head, there's no way for anybody to ever recover that. Even if I lived, let's say that I have significant, well, I probably wouldn't survive a head-on crash with a semi, or I've jumped into the pool and hit my head and I've lost all my memory. I just don't want to risk it with that. I think that the odds of somebody, the odds of you losing it that way, I think don't necessarily outweigh the risks of somebody coming to your house and taking it from you. That's my opinion. Bitcoin should be pure consciousness and not rely on writing it down on steel. You know what? I agree with that. It's just that I don't want to take the chance of something like that happening to me. The worst case would be you have to, continue your life with no memory and no Bitcoin that you worked extremely hard to obtain. But even along the same lines is you won't be able to pass it on to your family. And to me, that's a waste of life. If you go through all the time, all the effort of obtaining it, of gaining the knowledge around Bitcoin and everything that encompasses it, And to lose it, I feel like that's a wasted life. All your energy's gone. All the energy that you were storing in that battery called Bitcoin is gone. So that's just my thoughts. Oh, what do we got here? We got anonymous zap of 10K sats. All caps, good morning. We're gonna say it's an anonymous zap, but I have a funny feeling I know who that is, just based on the caps. So anonymous, thank you. I very, very, very much appreciate that. That's a heck of a way to kick off the show here on Friday. Noah says what? No, I was just joking. I knew you weren't insulting me. Pasty says, "Hail Sir Jor." I don't know if we have the Sir title here or anything close to that. Okay, let's move on here. What do we got for some news today? And sorry to the person on YouTube who hates the mouse click. It's just I have about, if you guys could see the setup here, you'd understand why I have to do that. All right, where are we here? Gmail. A couple things I should talk about actually before we go into the news today. Two things. Number one, I tried out, actually, I'm going to go from 2 things to 4 things. I'm going to double this. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping here. But yesterday I tried out this new chat there. I was talking to I don't know where I ended off there. I looked up and I was frozen. Sir Sleepy and I have been, actually it's through John Galt. So pretty famous guy, but he's making some t-shirts and some hoodies for us. And I don't know if you saw yesterday on Twitter or Nostr, but it's a face of Kathy Wood, like as a teenager, or not a teenager, but her younger years, probably maybe 19, 20, 21. She looks pretty young, but it's a picture of her face and it says Kathy Wood, but not Wood. It's like WOULD. Phenomenal shirt. I'm 100% gonna, as soon as I can get my hands on one of those, I'm gonna be wearing it. I might never take that shirt off. But anyways, so those are available now. I think you can find them on Twitter or Nostr. If you want one, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link for it. There's t-shirts and there's hoodies. They're both like a creamy white color. They're beautiful shirts. I can't wait to wear one. So we were trying to figure out things logistically, and they suggested I join their Telegram chat. And I said, I don't have Telegram. I hate Telegram. Do you have Signal? They said, no, don't want to dox my phone number. So I said, or I think it was Sir Sleepy said, let's try, what's this called? Keat. You guys heard of Keat? It's like a Nostr based client. It's very similar to like a Discord. It's a private messenger for this Nostr based. So it seems to work pretty good. I think there was a bit of a lag yesterday on a few messages, but definitely has some promise there. So if you're on, I have Android. If you're on Android, try out Keat. Just play around with it a little bit. I mean, if you open it up, it doesn't look like much. You kind of have to be part of a group or something, but Keith is worth exploring, or Keat. I don't know why I said Keith. Worth exploring. I've heard people talking about it for a while now, and I never checked it out until yesterday. So that's number 2. Number 3 is what? Oh, mini bits. Last week or this week, my mini bits just froze. I had not an excess amount, and this is like going back a couple months now. I tried something else. I think I was using eCash on my browser, and I think that I don't know if I closed it or if it just disappeared on me, but I lost like 25,000 sats on there. And I was like, okay, idiot, don't ever leave that many sats on an eCash wallet because it's so early here still. So time went on. There's a couple apps that came out in eCash, mini bits. I was trying it out. I had about 15,000 sats on there, I think. And I was trying to get them off there. But all of a sudden it said the key store had been reset on my phone. No idea what that means. It must be an Android thing. But it wouldn't connect to my mini bits. So I couldn't even get the private key out of there. I couldn't send it out of there. So I deleted it. And thankfully I had my private key written down. So I restored it. But my sats are still gone. So I'm talking with the guy from Minibits right now to try to recover them. And I know that there was 2 bigger zaps that came in because we were doing like a little contest for the price of Bitcoin. So it was the 15 plus those 2 zaps that are just in cyberspace right now. So moral of the story is Minibits, I still recommend people use it. It's just keep very small balances on there because there's nothing that I did wrong. It was just a disconnect between, I guess, my key store and the Minibits wallet. And however that worked, it was just showing an error the whole time. So if you're using eCash, again, just make sure that you're transferring out every time. And I use Aqua Wallet for that. And I've been pretty good at it too. Every time it got over like 5,000 sats, I would just transfer that amount out into my Aqua Wallet. But this time I let it get a little bit bigger and it's gone. Sad. I just added to the lost total of Bitcoin. I might get it back. I'm not counting on it, but I might get it back. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say on that. Oh, I'm losing sats here. I'm bleeding sats over on Zapstream. Let me top this up. Okay. What do we have for news today? There's one thing I wanted to look at for sure. Actually, let's watch this. And this probably isn't something that new to a lot of people on this channel, but I'm a huge fan of this guy. His name is Naval Ravikant, I believe. I've been following him for probably a decade now, and I've lost touch a little bit with him as of late, but reconnected, let's say. Big fan of Naval. I've always liked the way he presents himself, the topics he touches on, and just his overall perspective on things. He's a very good follow on whatever you have going. So this is a 2-minute video of him talking about Bitcoin. He's a Bitcoiner, which I was unaware of until recently. But let's check this out. This one's, what was the title on this one?
Bitcoin.
Okay, well, I don't know what the title was. Let's just watch it.
Bitcoin essentially says that money and speech are the same thing. And let me give you an example. A Swiss bank account, if I know the number and I know the password to that, that is money. That is as good as money, and I can cross borders with it. So they obviously can't stop you from crossing the border with money if you have a bank account somewhere remotely. Think of Bitcoin as a bank account in the cloud, and it's completely decentralized. Not the Swiss government, not the American government. It's all the participants in the network enforce it. And so the ledger, the distributed database, it's called the blockchain, is held in the cloud by all the parties involved. It can't be broken by any of them. It's cryptographically too strong. You would have to compromise the entire network to take over Bitcoin. Not even the NSA can do it. And the value of the Bitcoin is a bounty on the Bitcoin. So if the value of all the Bitcoin in the world today is $5 billion, that's a $5 billion bounty. Any hacker who can go break that can collect a lot of that money, but they can't. So it shows you how strong it is. Even the NSA couldn't break the blockchain today. So I don't think so. But because of that, that means that Bitcoin is protected. The value is protected. The money is protected. But notice what I said at the beginning. Money is speech. That means the speech is protected. That means I can publish things into Bitcoin that no one can take away. I can publish WikiLeaks, for example, tracts of information into there that are irrevocable. Someone in China may use it for speech. They might use it to get a message out to the rest of the world anonymously in a way that it cannot be pulled back. So China may censor YouTube. China may censor Twitter. They won't be able to censor Bitcoin. It disrupts everything. If it works, it'll be the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. Even if it doesn't work as advertised, it may still enable free speech and anonymous speech to a level that large states, totalitarian states would be uncomfortable with. You can't turn off Bitcoin without turning off the internet. That's how it's designed. What the internet did, people forget, what the internet did was it connected every human to everything. And so because of that, it reduced the power of the elites. It reduced the power of mass media. It reduced the power of control media. No one can control the messaging.
Naval, legend. What a legend. He's absolutely right. I do disagree with him on one point there. And the one point that I disagree with him on is the bounty for it. Because I think that if somebody were to be able to hack Bitcoin and they were able to steal all the Bitcoin, he said that the value of Bitcoin, it was a couple $100 billion at the time of that video. It's over $1 trillion now. But he said that that's the bounty of trying to hack Bitcoin. And I don't think that it is. Because I think that if somebody hacked Bitcoin, then the value of Bitcoin is zero to me. Because, I mean, yes, they would have all the Bitcoin, but nobody's going to buy that Bitcoin if somebody can hack Bitcoin, right? But everything else I agree with. The fact that it is speech, and we just saw a couple weeks ago, the main guy from, what the hell is it called? The big bank, the big digital asset bank in New York, NYDIG. The big boy from NYDIG came out and wrote an official letter, official document saying that Bitcoin is speech and therefore it's protected under the Second Amendment in the US. So that's a big deal. I think that that's a bigger part of it than the bank in the cloud or the bounty on Bitcoin. I think the speech part of that, and the fact that, and I mean, we're only 15 years into this Bitcoin thing. So not only do people not understand it in terms of the technical side of things, the value proposition for it, but people don't know how much our world is going to change going forward now. Because now there's no way for them to go back and change history. Nobody's going to be able to change history anymore. And you know how important that is for society as a whole? Not today, but 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. If we had access to some of the information and the documents that were available tens of thousands of years ago, our society would look completely different today. We're basically, even though we're all connected, you know, you're watching me through this screen, we're basically living in the Stone Age compared to where we should be. If those documents, if that information hadn't been intentionally or not destroyed. Because back then, if you had information like that, it was in a place, there was a single point of failure there. You could target that place. You could burn it down. You could hit it with a weapon and it would destroy all that information. But now with Bitcoin and being able to record speech and history on the blockchain that is impossible to go back and change, that's a big deal. Like, not a big deal, like the biggest deal. People don't understand how important history is for understanding the future and for society as a whole going forward. And we've never had the ability to do that before. We don't think anyways. So that's what I want to share on Naval. Hey, there's Mav21, fat zaps only. Thank you to Mav21. I mean, the Anon for the fat zap there. I don't know for sure. I don't want to take credit for somebody else, but thank you, Anon. We're back. Said you started a new chat. Did I? New chat where? Where was the new chat? I don't know. I must have missed something there. Boom me. LOL. Yeah, Kathy Wood was very pretty. I think she still is too. I don't think we should discount her current day looks. But back then, big time BILF. CoinKite sells a stealth open dime. Yeah, I mean, an open dime is a possible thing there too. It looks like a little USB. I don't know if I have one kicking around here or not. But I don't think that I would put my Bitcoin stack on a open dime. I don't think. But teach their own. Bren says either Minibit stored your wallet's private key on your device, which was compromised, or it just had been reset or deleted from your device and is recoverable. Curious to know which. I'm curious to know which as well. That's the big question on every. I mean, would it suck if I lost 25,000 sats again? Yes. The tough thing for me is like 25,000 before, 25,000 this time, 50,000 sats total. In 10 years from now, I'm going to look back on those 50,000 sats that I lost by being not careless. Like, this was not my fault. It's just I had too many sats on there, and I hadn't realized there was a problem before people were zapping me with their entries. So I'm sure we'll figure it out. I hope we'll figure it out. But if not, I mean, I'll be okay. Timber Crasher says the next big thing we need for Bitcoin is for transacting with Bitcoin over radio to become mainstream. So even if the internet gets shut down, we the people still have the power to transact. I think that's already available. Actually, you can use eCash without the internet, which is kind of cool. So I don't know if radio is the play. I don't know how many people still have a radio kicking around their house, but you can use eCash without the internet, which is one of the main value props for it, which I think is incredible. But don't keep a lot of sats on your eCash wallet. Learn from my mistakes. But in terms of that, I think that, you know, I kind of go under the assumption that things are going to be good. You know, society, we're gonna figure this thing out eventually. Humans usually figure things out. Good usually prevails in the world. And I don't think we're ever going to have a situation where the internet goes down forever. And if it does, I think that Bitcoin is going to be something that it failed. If we don't have the internet, Bitcoin failed. Or not failed, but we won't be able to use it. Bitcoin is the money of the internet. So if you take away the internet from that equation, the money's gone. But again, I like to make my decisions and my life choices based on a functioning society in the future. And I think that we are going to, even if we have a couple weeks or a month of no internet, it'll come back up without a doubt. They're already making, if you watch that video from Robert Breedlove, there's already tools available for that, where you can create a mesh network in your area and people can pick up Wi-Fi signal from that. So we're kind of already there. I don't know if the radio is the proper term there, but something like a mesh network will work in that situation for temporarily. But again, if we somehow lose the internet from society, then internet or the Bitcoin's toast for sure. And I mean, that's never gonna happen. We're never gonna go backwards. It's never happened in human history before. So why would we do it now? And as you mentioned there, that what the internet has done, even though it's kind of been captured through the years, is that it's totally decentralized how we consume information now. If you look back pre-internet days, boomers here, or baby boomers, I hate calling them boomers, but baby boomers had 3 ways to get information: radio, television, and newspaper. That's it. And in order to publish something on one of those mediums, you had to go through a whole bunch of hoops to be able to get your word across, to get your message out there. But with the internet now, some guy in rural Canada can hop on the internet, bullshit for a while, get some money, get some zaps from Zapstream, and nobody can say otherwise. So that's why, there's no doubt in my mind that we're eventually going to win this thing because of that. There's just, the cat's out of the box now, and you cannot put it back in there. And they know that. They're doing everything in their power to try to stifle that and stop the momentum, stop the message from getting out there, whether that's George Soros buying radio stations or YouTube shutting down my channel. They're trying to stop it, but they can't. Rajesh, hello. Good morning, my friend. Yeah, 50K sats hurts, and it's bad when we're living the future. 100%. That's what bothers me. Even though I don't even know what 50,000 sats is. $50, $40. I mean, that hurts too, but I'm thinking more down the road. Those 50,000 sats are going to come back to haunt me one day. But I'm sure people have lost more than that, so I'm okay with that. It's a price you got to pay to be in the game. But if there's anything that I can do to prevent that from happening to other people, that's the whole point of this channel, really. That's how it started. Andrew says, this is a great question. Do you think that exchanges will eventually list sats instead of Bitcoin and decimals? 100%. And I don't know what point that'll happen at. Kind of my theory on it is when Bitcoin gets to like 1 million, that means that 1 sat equals 1 penny. And so then you could display sats as like 0.01 of a dollar. So I think that when we get to that point, you know, the tickers, the news, everybody displaying the price of Bitcoin, once it gets to like $1 million per Bitcoin, that's when we'll switch to this, when people start measuring it in sats instead of Bitcoin. Because if you think about it, that's just how our human brains work. We like round numbers. We like things that we can really identify with. And so if it's below 1 million, that would mean that 1 sat is less than a penny, which nobody would really want to measure. You wouldn't want to say 1 sat equals like 0.09% of a cent. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to explain without a visual. But when Bitcoin hits 1 million, that's when 1 sat equals 1 cent. And I think that that's when we'll start measuring Bitcoin in sats versus the price of Bitcoin. It'll be price of sats. Because if you're over 1 million, so let's say that in a hypothetical situation here, Bitcoin hit $1.2 million this cycle. If you're trying to track it on a, you know, if you're a trader, if you're trying to follow the price of Bitcoin and it's going from like 1.1, it's the same as like a YouTube, the subscriber thing. Once you get to 1,000, it starts rounding. So, I mean, we could either be like 1.12 for a Bitcoin, but then there's going to be a lot of time there between that actually changing. So that's when we're going to start measuring things in sats. People already use sats for buying and selling things, right? If you go to buy a product on Juxtapo's website, it says sats. It doesn't say 0.0003 of a Bitcoin. It says 30,000 sats. So we're already there. It's just people aren't. October just started, did it? I had a feeling today. I don't usually pull out the orange shirts, but I had a feeling today was going to be yeah, we're moving up a bit. We're moving. We're not even close to the true value of it though. And that's what you have to keep in mind too. It's like you see the fiat price there. What would you sell Bitcoin for? What fiat price would it take for you to sell your Bitcoin? All of it. Think about that. Million, 10 million, 100 million. So even though there's this illusionary fiat price that scrolls on our TVs, is that actually the price of it? What's the real value of it to people? And I got a hint for you. It's not what they tell you. Pasty says, tell the story when Arnie eats your private keys. To who? Like to the stream here? Or when somebody comes and tries to get my Bitcoin. Eureka says, trying to zap, not successful as of yet, grade 8. Oh, great show. Thank you. Well, keep trying. Well, I think the zaps are showing up better than they have been today. I went a whole show without acknowledging them last week because they weren't showing up for me. Oh, it's Steven. Steven, my man. You don't need to worry about zapping, Steven. You sent a few big zaps on nostr yesterday, so keep those sats. Rajesh says, depends on our needs. If we don't need it now, why sell it when it's deflationary? Yeah, agreed. That's what I'm saying. Like for me, honestly, if I were to sell all of my Bitcoin right now, I would probably want 100 million, maybe more. Because if you think about what you can actually buy with $100 million today, I don't know. Is it worth it? How much is that going to depreciate over these next couple of years? You're going to have to go out and spend it all. You're going to have to go out and buy houses all across the world to try to maintain that wealth, that energy. You have to be paying property taxes. You have to be paying maintenance. It's going to deteriorate pretty fast. So it's crazy to think about though, and how much of a disconnect there is there truly, because you have to stop and think about this yourself. Like the price that they're telling us right now, $60,000. I mean, yes, people are buying it and selling it. There's traders. There's people that need to sell it to pay for things in their life. But for me, like there's a huge disconnect there between the $60,000 price that's displayed and how much the majority of Bitcoiners would actually need to sell their Bitcoin. There's a huge disconnect there, like a massive disconnect. Even if you go conservative and say, yeah, I would sell one of my Bitcoin or my stack of Bitcoin for $1 million. Even if I feel like that's a very conservative number for a lot of Bitcoiners, because what could you even do with $1 million now? Buy your house, and then what? Then you got to get that Bitcoin back over time. So even the disconnect there between 60,000 and $1 million is significant. And so that's kind of what we're going to be building up to here. This bull run is people are going to realize the true scarcity of Bitcoin and how much the people who hold Bitcoin and understand Bitcoin actually value Bitcoin when other people are going to try to buy from us. Oh, there you go. 21 Spiel Sat says there are already exchanges who are listing sats like 21 Bitcoin, for example, an Austrian exchange. Interesting. All right, let's take a look at the other piece of news here that I want to share. Even though this is No Agenda Friday, you don't want to just hear me bullshit for an hour straight. So I had to have a couple things ready to go. So this is in a recent presentation. BlackRock described Bitcoin as a global monetary alternative, contrasting it to the dollar's declining purchasing power. So this is the slide here, and this is what I want to talk about mostly. First of all, the fact that BlackRock's doing this is wild. Oh, I can't zoom in. What the hell? Okay, I'm just completely blowing up my computer here. It's going to look like my grandma's laptop after this. Zoomed into the max. So this is, I don't know if you can see it or not. I hope you can. I'll try to read some of the most important parts of this. But it says Bitcoin through the lens. This is a slide from the BlackRock presentation. It says Bitcoin through the lens of a global monetary alternative. So on the left side there, you see purchasing power of the US dollar has declined significantly over time. Look at that chart. So you see a few things there. You see December 1913, which was right after the old Titanic sank, with a few people who were opposing the Federal Reserve on that ship. I don't know, something there. Okay, we're losing signal here. What the heck's going on? My connection is unstable. Hold on. Ooh, talking too much about the Titanic here. There's a lot of... Okay, I think we're okay. I think there's a lot of things about the Titanic that we don't know. Anyways, that was back in 1913. When did the Titanic sink? I don't know, sometime around there. So the US establishes the Federal Reserve System. And since then, 1933, the US enacts the ban on private gold holdings. That's when they confiscated everybody's gold, 1933. And then in 1971, the US ends convertibility of gold to the US dollar. And then December 2023, you can see the purchasing power of $1 US is now 3 cents. So the purchasing power of the US dollar has declined significantly over time. If you showed that to every person in Canada, in the USA, and you actually explained it to them, that if you had a dollar back in 1913 before we went through the fiat dollar thing here, that dollar is now worth 3 cents. Now, the right side there says Bitcoin possesses similar characteristics to that of other global monetary alternatives. So it's comparing the US treasuries, gold, and Bitcoin. And if you notice, if you look at any sort of chart in regards to Bitcoin and the comparison to other assets, usually the only thing that's read or questioned on there is the lack of track record. That's the beauty of it. In this case, they also said that the volatility is very high, which, depending on how you look at it, that's a big time opportunity. And that's why MicroStrategy has been able to go from a $1 billion market cap to a $20 billion market cap because of the volatility. So they're showing that as a red, high volatility, but people could look at that as a positive. So the supply is fixed, that's in green. The volatility is high in red. The length of the track record is short in red. Governance decentralized, green. Cost to move low, green. And cost to store low, green. And the market cap of US treasuries is 25 trillion. The market cap of gold is 14 trillion. And the market cap of Bitcoin is 1.3 trillion. So what that says to me is the main thing holding Bitcoin back is the lack of knowledge around it, lack of track record. And if you're watching this today, just understand that you're taking advantage of that, because when that turns from red to green, the opportunity has been lost. So even with the volatility, people see those as risks. The volatility is high, the track record's short. People see those as risks, but that's the whole opportunity with this whole thing. So that's one thing, is that's the main downfall, is that people just don't understand it yet. And the second part is that we got a long ways to grow. $1.3 trillion market cap compared to gold's 14 trill. And I think it's going to lap that and laugh at it on the way by over time. And the fact that the biggest financial, what would you call them, an institution? Probably the most influential company on the planet is giving presentations about this to the richest people on the planet. Wild. Rajesh says there's a formula of asset holding costs given by Sailor. Yes, I highly recommend people would check that one out. And when you're talking to your friends and family about it, you can kind of explain it to them in that way, that every other asset has costs, holding costs involved. Gold has a little bit. I mean, if you got $1 billion worth of gold, how are you going to store that? Real estate. You got $1 billion worth of real estate, there's going to be costs associated, not only property tax, maintenance costs, insurance costs, everything. With Bitcoin, you could have $1 billion on your Bitcoin wallet and you don't have to pay anybody. There's no fees. I mean, you probably at that point, you want to have some sort of structure in place where maybe somebody's looking after it for you a little bit, but that's up to you. You don't have to do it. You can't keep $1 billion worth of gold in your basement, though. I'll tell you that for free. And if you try to send that to, you're going to need a lot of big boats. Why should I sell the winner Bitcoin for the loser fiat? Agreed. That's not the purpose of Bitcoin. You never want to get into Bitcoin to one day exchange it back for fiat, for the most part anyways. I know that myself personally, there's other people out there, I'm sure, who have a certain portion of their Bitcoin holdings allocated to different things, such as paying down debt, such as a down payment on a new house, such as a new vehicle. So, but you're never trading it back for fiat. That's what I would say. And, unless that debt's like a credit card debt, I don't know if I would trade it for that either. What's my thoughts on Diego? Good morning, my friend. What's my thoughts on disc golf? Never tried it. Always wanted to try it. I know there's some people who watch the show who are disc golfers. And I remember one night I was watching it. It was like 1 o'clock on a Friday night. There's nothing else on. And I was watching disc golf for a couple hours. I don't know if I was into the whiskey or something else, but I was very much enjoying it. It was hilarious. You think golfers are nerds? Go watch disc golf. I mean, you could probably YouTube it. If you got some time this weekend, have a couple beers, do whatever you need to do, get into the right state of mind, watch disc golf for a couple hours. You're gonna very much enjoy it. But at the same time, it does look like a lot of fun. I would love to try it. Very similar to golf, except you're using just your arm to throw it instead of different clubs in full swing. So it's cool. I like disc golf. I'm interested in it for sure. Bitcoin's downside volatility is a weakness of the fiat system. Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. The day we price things in Bitcoin will come. I don't care about the fiat price. That's true. That's a great point, is that it's not really Bitcoin that's fluctuating. It's everything else is being repriced in Bitcoin. So it's just the world we live in still. It's going to change. It is changing by the day. So just be patient. Just have some patience. All right, so what we're going to do now, I think, what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to Zap.stream exclusively. And so for the first couple here, while the YouTube channel is down, is there anything else I want to talk about today? I don't know. The one thing I would suggest, if there's anybody listening to this right now or later, the one thing I would suggest is we've been talking about some really interesting things over on the Living in the Future channel. Very interesting thing. So if you are somebody who is wanting to take your Bitcoin, I don't know, if you want to move to a Bitcoin standard, if that's something you're working on, you don't really have anybody you can talk to about it, you don't really have the resources or the network there, I would strongly suggest at least doing like a 7-day free trial for the Living in the Future. It's $5 a month. And again, I have no issues with that. I have no issue charging $5 a month because it takes up a lot of my time trying to add as much value as possible to that community. So, but it also gives you some skin in the game. And it also eliminates the spam, which is what I've found is the problem with free communities like that anybody can join. It's just full of bullshit. It's all noise. There's no signal there at all. So with this, it's not that. I think there's about 60, 70 or 80 people in there now. And it's a beautiful community of Bitcoiners. And we've been talking about a few things. I mean, going further into things, part of why the other channel got banned is because I was talking about that. So it's going to be a place going into these next couple of months where we can actually get off of this place and talk freely about things. And so what I would suggest is sign up for 7 days. You can go back and watch some of the videos on there, and you can skip to like the last half hour if you've already watched the full show, but just watch some of the things we've been talking about. I've been sharing some ideas for Bitcoiners on how to earn sats, how to get non-KYC sats, some privacy stuff on there. If you kind of want to take your Bitcoin, I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. If you want to move quicker to a Bitcoin standard and you don't really know the best path there, just try that out. See what you think. I think that there's a lot of people who are watching the show today who can attest to how valuable, for considering the cost of it, the value there is significant. So what we're going to do, and the other part of that too, is over these next couple weeks here, we're going to be watching the Jack Kruse interview. That's what got my other channel taken down or put in a 1-week timeout, was talking about that. So obviously we can't talk about that on here. We're going to move over there. I have the uncensored version of it because I know that it's still up on YouTube, but there's parts of it that have been censored by YouTube, which is fucking crazy for one. But we're going to watch the uncensored version of that. And I think that we're going to do it over 8 parts where we might talk about things, we might not. But I think that the focus there is not so much about Bitcoin, but it's just overall understanding of the world. And a big part of that is your health. So that's something that I've been pretty fascinated with as of late is really paying attention to what I consume here in my stomach, in my mind, and everything that's around me that we're completely unaware of, including here in this office. So we're going to go through all 8 parts of it together. It's going to be like a watch party. Every day, maybe every couple days, we're going to do it in 8 parts. We're going to be in a very easy to digest way because it's a 4-hour interview. And I don't think many people have 4 hours to just sit and watch this presentation or this discussion. So we're just going to do it like a live viewing party. I'm going to put on half an hour every day, and the chat will be going in there. I'll be in the chat, and we're going to try to learn as much as we can from this for ourselves and for the people around us. So if you're interested in that, today you can just go over to zap.stream. That's going to be the best way to see it today. Just go over to zap.stream or sats.gg. One of those two, you can create a profile. I think you can just watch even without a profile on there, but that's what we're going to be doing today. So Rajesh says, I earn in fiat, saving Bitcoin, low per month, but surely going down the path of sats. That a boy. It's what you want. You know, we've learned the lessons of compound growth through the years. That's usually interest that they're speaking of there. But compound growth is a real thing. And consistently adding to your stack and just kind of going back to this, forgetting about the fiat price that they put on Bitcoin. If you have every week, every month, every year, you have more Bitcoin than you had at the start of that month or year, then you're winning. That's it. It doesn't matter what they tell you the price is there. If that's your main goal is just to get more sats, that's it. Because the Bitcoin sats, that's going to be what everything is priced in. That's what's going to be valuing everything in the future. And it's the most scarce and greatest asset that has ever existed before. So head over to zap.stream. We're going to keep this party going. We're going to watch the Jack Kruse first half an hour. It's going to be the first part of the 8-part series. And we're going to go from there. Aaron Haywood says, Bitcoin Ben is crying right now on live stream. What else is new? I love Bitcoin Ben, but he's always crying on the live stream. And I can't make fun of him because I've had a couple moments here when I'm thinking back on, the last 4 years and things we've gone through before as Bitcoiners and as people who are trying to go around that system and have lost faith in that system. It's been a rough road for a lot of people, self included. So anyways, go over to zap.stream. We're going to keep this going. And if you're watching this now and want to watch the recorded version of it, I've been loading these videos onto the Patreon channel. So you can always, if you're not watching this live and you want to catch the full show today, you can just sign up as a Living in the Future member, and you're going to have access to all the recorded videos forward and from the past. Duchess, Delta Uniform Tango Charlie Hotel Echo Sierra Sierra says, waiting for the day I can buy an apartment complex for a Bitcoin. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us are going to be waiting for. And that's why mix that with the fixed supply of Bitcoin and the people who are going to be holding out because they know the true value of Bitcoin, things are going to get a little bit wild, without a doubt. Okay, so here we go. He's not even here. Arnie. Is it possible for an Arnie only episode? I said that the other day, and I truly believe that if we had a live feed on Arnie, there would be more people watching that than there are in this channel right now. And I'm not insulted by that. I would be the exact same way. So maybe Arnie will show up for the second part here, but if not, thank you everybody for being here. Thanks for being a part of this whole thing. There are going to be some down days in price and in life. And I think that you just have to kind of embrace them more than anything. There's a lot of shitty things that happen through the day. You're going to get a lot of shitty news. People are going to do things that you don't necessarily agree with or that piss you off. But it's important to keep the mindset of a very stoic mindset as we move into these next few months. Is that anything outside of your control you cannot worry about because you have enough shit to deal with in life. You don't have to be worried about things outside of your control. So just embrace it, because there's going to be a day sometime in the future where you're going to look back and you're going to give anything to be back in this moment. And you might have some regrets about, not doing enough, but just understand that you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And as long as you're moving forward, you have more sats today than you had yesterday, and you're trying to do good, then it's a win, regardless of what else is going on in the world. Arnie GoPro feed would earn all the sats. He's a wild man. All right. So head over to zap.stream or sas.gg. You can find us there. And we'll see you. Everybody else, if you're cutting off today, we'll see you right back here first thing on Monday morning. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll see you then.